Hey everyone, Ben here. Welcome to another episode of the Stellar Work podcast. Today I've got Holger Heinze with me, a management consultant and author of the book Drama-Free Workplace. We're diving into how to make the workplace less stressful and more empowering. Holger breaks down the drama triangle and shares some awesome tips on how to avoid drama and make better choices at work and in life. We talk about shifting from drama to empowerment and how to create a culture where everyone feels great. Trust me, you don't want to miss this episode. So let's dive right into it. Hello, Holger. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good having you here. We initially hooked up because we have a very similar topic where we both work on. We both work with organizations, we deal with change, we deal with transformation, and you also happen to write a book about a very specific topic that always occurs when things need to change, when things evolve. And your book is called, it's a German book, so the title is Dramafreie Arbeitswelt.
The drama-free workplace.
Yeah, I was wondering how to translate that in English, actually. So
Yeah, you could say drama-free or games-free. We'll get there, but I would say drama-free.
Okay. So for everyone who does not know you yet, maybe we could start with a short introduction of yourself. Who is Holger Heinze?
Holger Heinze, or as the Americans always called me, Holger Heine, is a 42-year-old heavy metal guitarist who needs money to buy guitars and to feed his children. So he works as a management consultant, and I've been doing that all my life, basically. I've founded a couple of consulting firms. I've joined a couple of them. I have left a couple of them. But I've been doing consulting for 25 or 26 years now. I started out as a computer science person, as a programmer. I have a degree in computer science. I worked my way through a couple of small and big projects, as you do as a consultant. And I figured out somewhere down the road that I'm much better at looking at the change. Why does change not stick? Why does it not happen? We have great concepts, we have great software, we have great communication roadmaps, and still the change doesn't happen. And then people always come around and say, well, it's the attitude, it's the mindset. The people have the wrong mindset, and if only they had the right mindset, then everything would be good. Now, I've never said this publicly, I think. I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in hope, and I don't believe in the afterlife, and I don't believe in messiahs, whatever the plural of messiahs.
Yet you still work as a consultant.
Yet I still work as a savior. No, but so I don't like these abstract, like, if only that was good, like this like in German we would say Prinzip Hoffnung, the principle hope. I don't buy that stuff. So I wanted to look at how can you rationally, credibly, without making an ass of yourself, work on something that is called mindset. And when I was done, I had this book.
Do you know what I did? You wrote a book. Do you know what I did at this point?
You read it? No.
No, I just gave up. I was like, okay, mindset is not something that I'm going to be working on.
Yes.
It's either there or it's not. I'm going to work with people, teams which have it. And if they don't, I'll move somewhere else. Because it always felt to me like mindset is not something you can directly influence. So it's not like you push button A and B happens.
So
You
you're
push button
mindset
A and
agnostic, and I'm mindset atheist.
yeah. Yeah, that's probably a way to put it. So your book is still called The Drama-Free Workplace. Is that how you put it?
I've never translated it before today, but I think I put it through like an AI thing to show it to some American colleagues. It was probably that.
How does that fit into the mindset perspective? Like, how is drama and mindset connected?
Well, you have to look at what, when people say you don't have the right mindset, what do they mean? And usually, I mean, the word is abused most of the times. Most of the times when someone says you don't have the right mindset, what they are saying is, you don't behave the way I need you to behave in order for me to reach my goals.
That's a very nice
And
way to say fuck
you know,
you. But yeah,
well, yeah, but that is it's basically like, you're annoying me. You don't have the right mindset. You're a whiner or whatever. But there is actually a very credible way of looking at mindset, and it is what Carol Dweck, she wrote a book on it about 20 years ago, 25 years, early 2000s, early '00 years, or whatever you call it. And she's a psychologist, and she looked at mindset, and she came up with a model that basically said there is two mindsets. There's the fixed mindset and there's the growth mindset. And that model maps to Kahneman, whatever it's in English. Who, you have slow and thinking fast. Fast thinking is a fixed mindset. Slow thinking is the growth mindset. And there's other models that you can map on it. And basically says that whenever a human, I don't know if that works for animals as well. Well, let's stick with humans. Whenever a human is presented with a threat or a challenge or something that causes stress, we have two stereotypical categories of reaction. The fixed mindset reaction is, I'm going to have to survive. I'm going to have to make do with what I have, and my prime goal is survival. And the growth mindset is, oh, look, there's something coming at me that I don't know, that's new. I did not expect this to happen. That's going to be an opportunity to learn something, right? And there's situations in which either of those is a good approach. If someone you don't know comes at you and he has a machete in his hand and he screams, I will kill you, it is a good idea to be in a fixed mindset. It is a good idea to look at the situation and say, I'm not going to learn why that person wants to kill me. I'm not going to learn his name. I'm going to get my ass out of the area of danger. And there's other situations, you're working in a company and the company says, look, we've had this software for 20 years and you're used to working with it. You've worked with it for every day in the last 20 years. However, there is a new software. And then it's probably a good idea to look at it and say, well, I didn't choose this. I like the old software, or at least I didn't hate it. I don't know anything about the new one, but I'm going to have to learn. And if you take that survival mindset and apply it to the new software, that is when people in our bubble usually will say, Ben has the wrong mindset. We told Ben, here's Salesforce, here at HubSpot. Start using it and be happy about it. And Ben is there and he treats HubSpot like a stranger with a machete in his hand.
give me my spreadsheets back. I don't want HubSpot.
In the end, it's a stress reaction, right? It's fight, flight, freeze, or appease. That is what we do. And again, that is nothing bad. That is very human. That is what has kept us alive all these years in our lives and all these generations, if you look at mankind. But it doesn't really help if you have a complex problem at work and you got to develop and you got to learn something. So in that, if you put all of this forward, that is where using the word mindset makes total sense to say, well, if someone is presented with this change, with this new process, with this whatever, and they get into this survival, I'm going to get my ass out of the line of sight mode, that is the wrong mindset. But it only works in that way, right? If you go and blanket someplace, you have someone who's leading, who's rolling out. I don't know. You have a very badly handled safe implementation, and let's be honest, all of the safe implementations I've ever seen are badly handled, and it doesn't work. It doesn't. It's not a Selbstläufer. It doesn't work by itself, and then the CEO gets up there and say, "You all have the wrong mindset." He could be right, but it's not the solution that you're looking for.
True. So do you know anything about how that decision gets made? So when let's stick to the ridiculous example of someone is approaching me with a machete. What is the process of making the decision look like? Because I think that if we understand that process, we would understand what would drive people into making better decisions, correct?
Yes. And that is basically what the book is about. So in the book we have these models that are that start out with stress. That is what's happening is stress. So I've put a model in there that has 5 phases of how the drama unfolds, and I'll get to the point why it's called drama. But phase number 1 is there's a trigger. Something happens. Someone with a machete comes at you, or someone with a CRM comes at you. Whichever weapon they picked.
I'm 100% sure that after this episode, I'm getting sponsored by a company producing machetes.
Or CRMs.
Oh, no, I will decline that.
Well, they're cool anyways. So they come at you. There's the trigger. What happens now? We today you use the Lazarus stress model, which basically has 2 appraisals, has 2 checks. The first appraisal is your system checks. Do I recognize what I'm seeing there? And is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Or is that a boring thing? Right? Is it something that could kill me? Is it something I can make love to? Or is it spam, basically? So first appraisal is my system looks at the machete and says, well, that looks like a weapon. Weapons make me go, ow, that's a bad thing. First appraisal. Second appraisal, I now hold the resources I have at hand and compare them to the threat. So if I'm standing there and I have a fully loaded automatic weapon and the machete person is 20 yards away and I am a good shooter, I'm probably not going to freak out because, I can Indiana Jones him. Remember that scene?
I do.
Right? So second appraisal would probably not result in a stress reaction. However, if I am, I'm on holiday, I'm at the nude beach, and I'm standing there naked, and someone comes at me with a machete, then the second appraisal will probably tell me, well, you have a problem. You gotta seriously look at your options for survival, and your options for survival is fight, flight, freeze, or appease. And so there's a trigger. The trigger is a threat. And now I go into a reaction. And all of that happens, usually it happens in autopilot. It happens without us noticing it. And then, now the proper situation that we're talking about, when we're talking about the workplace, now I used to have a workplace where people had machetes a long time ago. And now I don't have any more. So the threats that I am facing is people in meetings who are trying to blame me, people in meetings who are trying to stick a timeline that we didn't hold to me and say it's my fault, that sort of thing. Those are the threats that we encounter in the workplace. And so obviously in the workplace, I don't usually literally run away or literally punch someone, even though I have seen both happen. So in the workplace, what we actually do, fighting would be arguing back. It's your fault, blame shifting. Flight, running away would be hiding behind, well, I can't work on this project because I am overworked with the other project anyways. Playing dead would be ignoring emails, that sort of thing. So that is what unfolds then if I am in that survival mode because I got triggered, and then we do stuff, and that is in a very sophisticated way based on transaction analysis and everything in the book. But that is the basic process. What happens? So your question was, what can I do? Like, what happens there?
Yeah, if the process is on autopilot, how do I influence the path to go?
Exactly. And that is what the book is about training the competency to observe, to notice that it is happening, and then to intervene. So first one would be to make it less likely to happen. I can give you examples for that. Second one then is to understand it is happening and realize I am right now in autopilot and I am playing drama to survive, and I don't want that. And then to make a conscious decision. Sometimes I want it, sometimes I don't. Usually in the workplace, one symptom of drama in the workplace is you always have the same 5 problems and they come up again and again and again. And so if you've had to deal with the same problem for the 3rd or 4th time, then it's a good idea to ask yourself, well, maybe I'm playing drama. Maybe I'm just reacting to triggers here. And that is good for survival. I'm still here. But it is not good for sustainable long-term results. And if I want those, I have to intervene and break the cycle of my drama reflexes.
Maybe this is a good time to explain to us what do you mean when you say drama? Is that like they're performing a theater,
Yeah,
an
pretty
act?
much.
Is it the drama queen saying that people used in the 90s?
Well, no, it's not that. It's not the 90s drama queen. So where this comes from is a field of psychology, a field of psychiatry that is called transaction analysis. 1960s, Eric Berne, a professor of psychiatry in Berkeley, looked at, and this was a time when psychology was partially very poetic. There were models floating around that sounded good, but you couldn't observe. You couldn't, put them in algorithms or anything. So he was basically, he always said he would have liked to be an electrical engineer, but by mistake he became a psychiatrist. So his rules were: we don't talk about anything. It has to be new. It has to be observable. Anything we talk about here, you need to be able to film it with a camera and show me. If someone comes by, and if you take modern day stuff, MBTI, personality types and that sort of thing, he would have thrown all of
Modern
those out.
MBTI.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right. Disc model. You're a green type. You're a very harmony. You
Oh,
love
I've seen
harmony.
a
Like,
company that had like colors pinned on their entry office doors. So you know when you're approaching someone else's office what color type they are, so
it's
you
awesome.
can prepare yourself for that encounter.
I used to be a member of a group, and we had thing where we would do tests, and we do IQ tests and try to get the lowest possible score by answering every question with an answer that, and you could show that it's a right answer, but you don't get points for it. And the other thing what we used to do is do these tests, MBTI, this test, and so on, and game the test, and basically go in there and say, today I want to be green, or today I want to be an architect or whatever. Okay, so Eric Berne would have thrown all those things out. Very, very high, a high barrier of entry for models. And he came up with transaction analysis, which is a very, very smart way of looking at how people interact, right? When we go into an interaction, you get something from me, I get something from you. There's a whole, it's all in the book. Smart stuff behind that, but it is very, very complicated. He had a student, and by student he was already a practicing psychologist as well, Stephen Karpman. And Stephen Karpman basically looked at it and said, well, boss, great stuff, absolutely useless for everyday use because so complicated, and no way out. There's no, like, we have a very powerful model to describe when people play games with each other, when people go into stereotypes, but we have no way out. And I came up with a simplification, which I call the drama triangle, because it has three stereotypical roles that whenever people are in a stressful situation or in a conflict situation, you can look at what they're doing, you can take their behavior, and it's a model, it's a descriptive model, but you can take that and say, well, you are behaving as one of those three roles. And the three roles are the victim, the persecutor, sometimes called the villain, the bad guy, the evil guy, and the rescuer, sometimes called the hero. And it is called the drama triangle for two reasons. One of them is those three roles are roles we play, as in drama. In the English language, drama is acting, right? It's not, it doesn't have to be tragic. The drama club in high school is the place where people go to learn acting. So the first thing about to take away from that is those are roles. They're not identities. They're not personality types. You're not a victim type. You just choose to,
Like in that specific encounter, you
in that encounter, to ensure your survival by taking the victim role and say, well, me, little Holger, not my fault. I can't do anything about this. Please don't hang me for losing that client because I was on parental leave anyways. So first reason why it's called drama is we play those roles and we can shed them. We can get rid of those roles and pick up other roles. And the other one is in what happens usually when people play drama is good people do bad things to other good people because they think they have no option. And that is what you find in all the classical dramas and what you find in The Hobbit and what you find in Game of Thrones. People get up in the morning and then they're like, oh, wow, that guy tried to kill my cousin. Now I will kill his dragons. I don't want to, but I kind of have to. So then they kill the dragons. And the other person's like, oh, I didn't want to kill you back, but no, you killed my dragon, so I have to kill you. And they're all in this reactive cycles. So that's drama. I play roles and I react. And all of that is driven by the survival or the fixed mindset. I'm in a stress situation and I don't notice it. It works in autopilot. You stress me with that overdue ticket. You stress me with that change that you want to put into my life. And because I don't pick up on it and I just kind of let it go on autopilot, I pick one of those drama roles and I go into victim mode and say, well, I don't have time to learn your new CRM stuff. That is too bad. Or I go into persecutor mode and say, well, I found 5 things that aren't perfect with your shit system. So take your shit system and go, come back next year when you fix that bullshit. Or I go into rescuer mode, and the rescuer is someone who doesn't like conflict, who will put some stuff, like, yes, the software is bad, but don't tell them. We don't want any open conflict. Just keep it to yourself, and we'll just kind of sit it out. They do toxic positivity and toxic harmony, that sort of thing. So that is the short answer. Why the word drama?
So let me wrap this up a little bit. So I'm getting into a situation at work, and I assume that everything that we talk about is work related. So this is not like you being attacked by a T-Rex, right?
I would prefer if we kept my mother-in-law out of this podcast.
All right.
No, but to honestly answer, and I love my mother-in-law. The book is about the workplace because the publisher is Haufe, and they said we write scientific books for working people. However, I train this stuff as well. And when I train people, they always come back and say, well, I'm using this at work, but I'm using it equally at home with my partner, with my kids, with my neighbors. So it is universally usable, and you honestly you can't apply it in one way and not in the other. The book, however, is very workplace related.
Okay. Because I wanted to go to this question a little bit later, but now as we're already in it, I was wondering like how to differentiate a real threat from something that like sometimes I guess you just are the victim.
Yes, absolutely. Very good point. Sometimes you are. And then you are when there's nothing to do about it,
Like
I have
when the meteor comes, I'm probably I'm probably going to be dead, right? So
it is
blame
in the book,
meteor.
and in the training we make a very good point of you can be a victim. If I go outside and a car runs me over because they ran a red light and I'm dead, and I'm the victim of that car, and my family is the victim of having lost me. That is not what this is about.
Okay.
This is about where you have a choice. You can choose to take the victim role or you can't. There's one story I always tell. I have had 2 friends who, for some reason, got a diabetes diagnosis at the same time. This was long before I worked with this stuff. But they reacted in exactly the two worlds I describe in the book. One of them reacted in the normal way. He got very sad and depressed. And he took the victim role. He was now victim of that diagnosis. And every time you talk to him, he said, you want to go out? I can't go out because I can't eat what I want to eat because of the diabetes, and I can't do this. And then he got very unhealthy and he stopped doing stuff and he died. He died. 3 years later, he was dead. The other guy, same situation, same setup. He got the diabetes diagnosis and he said, well, I have a new hobby now, and my new hobby is nutrition. I didn't pick it, but I have it. And he learned a lot about nutrition and eating. He learned a lot about his body. He started working out. He did what every man in my age does. He started buying road bikes and started bicycling. Um, and he is fitter than he ever was, right? So they were both victim of diabetes, but one of them took the victim role and perished, and the other one did not take the victim role but took the opposite, because what the book is about is to understand when you go into drama, why that is human, why it happens, notice when it happens, and then whenever you like, not all the time, but whenever you like, choose to use the alternative. And the alternative is another triangle. It's called the empowerment dynamic. It has three other roles, and it has basically anti-roles to the drama roles. So you have
Maybe
victim.
before we
Yeah.
get into
Uh-huh.
the solution, let's understand the drama triangle a little bit better, because I was wondering, what are the steps that I go through when I would enter the drama triangle, and on which steps would I need to do something differently? Because like I was thinking of the situation appears, so there is a trigger, then some chemicals go on, my amygdala would fire, then I would need the consciousness of a monk to see myself in that situation and say to myself like, hey, this is what's happening now. Do you want to take the controller?
Yeah.
And then you press
So
play and
so
you move it.
there's a multitude of things that you can do, and I try to put it in as systematically as possible. First phase is there's things you can do to make it less likely that you get triggered. There's stuff that sounds trivial, and people always roll their eyes when I say it. Get enough sleep, get enough water, get enough breaks, get enough food. We are very, you know this. You go into an office, and some colleague comes in and says, "Well, I haven't slept all night because the kids were sick. I haven't had my coffee yet." They're saying I am extremely triggerable. That is what they're saying.
Probably me.
So you know it, you know. So the opposite of that would be to prepare, to say, well, next, like tomorrow, there's a meeting that has drama potential. It has potential to be threatening, and then it has potential to propel me into drama. So for that meeting, I'm going to make sure that half an hour before that, I take a little walk, and I make sure that I eat an hour before that, so that the glucose is in my head, so that I, like, physically, I lower the probability of me being triggered. There's other stuff that you can do. My favorite thing, and people always roll their eyes at that as well, and even though they say yes, it's true, meetings without agendas are basically a drama promise, because you have a meeting invitation. We go from Teams call to Teams call, and then there's this meeting invitation, and there's no agenda, and it only has like a title, and the title is the name of the project or something like that. You don't know what's going to happen. You can be surprised. Someone can blindside you, and all of that. Like your whole system is ready to be attacked. So again, the probability that you get triggered is higher. And there's other stuff like that in there. So prepare. Look at it. I sit down every morning with my coffee. I open my phone calendar, and I look at the meetings I have throughout the day, and I look at which of those meetings could trigger me. And that alone, just kind of thinking about it, sort of packs it in and prepares me for it.
I'm surprised because we started this show this episode with the word mindset, but none of the
Mhm.
solutions that you propose now is touching the issue of mindset or culture or
Oh, yes, it does.
like sleeping enough. Doesn't sound like a mindset-y tip to me.
Well, if we're zooming out and then we're zooming back in
Hmm.
to the phases, but if we're zooming out like that, that is basically what I'm trying to say. You have two mindsets. One of them is a fixed mindset, which is survival mode, and the other one is a growth mindset, which is, all right, let's learn from that. If you prevent drama, or if you prepare in a way that lessens the drama probability, then you give yourself the freedom, and we're talking one person, you, me, one person. We give ourselves the freedom to choose if we're going to look at that and just react in survival mode, or to take the growth mindset. So we enable ourselves, it's self-empowerment in that way. We enable ourselves to have a choice. That's all that is to it. And then I can look at it and there's the CRM and it annoys me and I don't like it. But I understand when it propels me into drama and I intervene and I say, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to be working here for another 5 years with that new software, so I'll learn. If many people in an organization do that, you get behavioral and decisional patterns. If many people in an organization decide to send invitations without agenda, you have a culture of improvisation theater because no one knows what's going to happen. If you have a group of people and a significant amount of them have the training or read the book or whatever, but they have the freedom to understand, oh, I'm triggered. Oh, okay, I'm reacting. I'm going to go into fight or flight. I don't want that. I'm going to put that away. I'm going to stay calm and I'm going to look at the learning I need to do. Then you will have a culture that will shift. When we train organizations, we usually see that when we have 60% of the people, then drama stops. And the way that our clients describe that is when all of them are trained, we still play drama. We're people. It's human. We still have reactions, but if there are 6 people or 8 people in a room, one of them will pick up on the drama. And at some point after 10 minutes, we'll say, guys, we've been playing drama for 10 minutes. We've been shifting the blame. We've been, fighting or freezing or running away and all of this stuff. Let's do the other thing. Let's do the resolution. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And it kind of solves a knot for me that I had in my head for a long time, which was like, don't touch the mindset issue, don't touch the cultural issue, because you can't really predict what is going to happen. Like, we have to have a different mindset. So now we do a town hall where someone is like one of the leadership team members is going to address that mindset and going to explain what type of mindset is needed for the transformation of the business or whatsoever, right? And I was always very opposed to that because I felt like this is a black box. You don't know what will happen. You could get the complete opposite direction. Like if I would ask for a culture of trust or a mindset where we trust each other, right? Then everyone has to sort of behave like we're trusting each other. But I would recognize to myself that, hey, I can't trust 100% of everyone. Like I'm not trusting everyone 100% of the time. So I have to act in order to fake the trust. Now that I know that I can't do it and I'm faking it, I probably at a certain point will learn that everybody else is faking it too from time to time. So now I'm having a real reason to don't trust the other person because I know that they're also going to fake it. So that's sort of an example of why I had a problem with touching the culture and mindset issue. And what I really like about your approach is like, you're basically saying the same thing. You're like, or at least in a way that I got it, is like, don't play with people's brains, play with what you can actually change, like tangible things that would sort of move the probability, even if it's not push button A, get result B, in that sort of direction, but you would sort of play with that probability and decrease the probability of drama happening.
Yeah. So the first thing is there's no such thing as a trust mindset, or what I always like is an agility, like you have to have an agile mindset or a digitalization mindset or, a rhythm guitarist mindset. That's all bullshit. There's a survival mindset and then there's okay, I'm willing to learn mindset. Mm-hmm. And we can't prescribe mindsets. I can't motivate you. Obviously, you can't motivate people anyways. That is a wrong assumption. So we can't motivate people into taking that learning mindset. But what we can do, and that is, this is all algorithms basically. It is very repeatable. It is very rational. Half of my clients are like 50-year-old men in IT professions. If I tell them we're going to do team building, they throw me out of the window. But if I tell them, look, this is the algorithm that your brain follows when I put pressure on you, and you have less freedom if you don't know this because it'll happen anyways. But if you train yourself to pick up when it happens, then you can intervene, and your competency grows to pick your mindset. And the interesting thing is, many of our assignments start with people. I have a colleague who says, we only sell to the cynics, Zyniker, right? To the people who are cynical. We always sell to people like, fix their mindset. They're all winos. And I can't fix that. But if I give people the competency to understand what's happening, to understand how they are reacting to a stress situation, they will choose, and they always choose not drama. Nobody, we're so quick of saying that's a narcissist, that's an asshole, and that's a drama queen. They never are. They never are. People never are. They're we're trying to survive. That is why I'm playing the victim, not because I like to do it.
So you're basically saying there are no bad people?
Well, there are bad people, but far less than we think. I would say I've met like 5 or 6 truly evil people in my life, personally. But I've met hundreds of people who did bad things because they were playing drama.
Despite good intentions.
Well, I don't even know if they have good intentions. Their only intention was to survive. And they thought, well, if
sounds like a fair one to me.
With a machete, I'm going to break his neck before he breaks mine.
Okay, so we sorted out like what happens before the drama, like how the drama occurs. We discussed the environment in which it's more likely or less likely. But let's say shit already hit the fan and you're midst of that drama triangle. You already mentioned that there is a solution out. So how does that work?
Well, that depends. So you already referenced the amygdala. So we're talking about limbic system reactions and amygdala. And it means that once we're triggered and the fight
we need a different word for that.
Yeah.
The lizard brain kicks in.
The lizard brain kicks in. And when that happens, you have it depends on how drastic the trigger is. You have 20 seconds to a minute and a half to intervene. And then you can kind of short circuit the reaction. And I can explain how to do that. But if you're past that, if you're like 10 minutes into your limbic reaction and into playing drama, you're fucked for an hour. There's no way to get out of it. Honestly, I always tell people if one of the hacks, there's a couple of hacks in the book. One of the hacks is set an alarm on your phone. If you know you're going into a meeting or into a situation that could be drama, set a 10-minute alarm on your phone. After 10 minutes, your phone rings. Everyone thinks you're getting a call. You get out your phone. You just kind of snooze the alarm for another 10 minutes. But the alarm is there for you to remind you to ask yourself the question, am I playing drama right now? If you catch yourself to play drama, what you do is you short-circuit your lizard brain by asking it a question that only the prefrontal cortex can actually answer. There's a story in the book where I use my son to explain this. So little kid runs around, he can already walk, but he doesn't understand that people he doesn't see still exist, right? So when he walks into a room and he's all by himself, he thinks he's all by himself on the world, and that is very scary. So that starts a limbic reaction. So I'm working at home, and every once in a while, little kid is screaming. So I run out, I pick him up. I don't know if he's really hurt. Sometimes he does hurt himself, or if he just only has a limbic reaction. So I pick him up and I'll say, Arno, because that is his name. What do you want on your, we're German, we eat Abendbrot, we eat sandwiches for dinner. What do you want on your bread for dinner? If he is actually hurt, he will just cry. If he's not, I just asked a question only his prefrontal cortex can answer, because he has to remember what dinner is. He has to remember the different things that go on bread, and then he has to make a decision. So here's what's going to happen. You short circuit his brain. It goes, liver, Leberwurst, as the Hesse would say. And Obviously, that's not something you can do in a meeting, or you could, but it would be funny. So in a meeting, you ask coaching questions. You're in the meeting, you catch yourself or the others playing drama, and you can just kind of go in there and say, okay, what would have, if we could do anything we wanted, what would have to change for this to get unstuck? If we could restart this project, what would we do differently next time? So, and then the people involved, they have to use, because again, they have to remember what did how, like, how can we do what, you can only answer that with your prefrontal cortex. So that way you can kind of short circuit it and bridge that if you're not already in your drama infight. If you're in a drama infight, find the big red button, go offline, walk around for an hour, go back and say, dear colleagues, I don't know, my internet just crapped out. I'm here again. Let's pick it up. If I do intervene and I get all of that physiology under control, then here's what happens. It's 3 questions. The first thing that happens when I'm in drama is I focus on the problem. I focus on the threat. I focus on the thing that is a danger to me.
Like despite the role you're in, or are you specifically referring to the victim role?
If I'm in drama, I focus on the threat. And I want to make the threat go away. I want to survive. And then I pick a role. I pick the victim role or the persecutor role or the rescuer role, whatever I learned as a child what works. So if I am conscious of that, I switch my focus away from the problem and to the outcome that I want. So basic example would be someone is in there and here's a ticket. It's overdue for 4 weeks and the client is furious. If you're problem focused, you're looking at the problem. The problem is not that the client is unhappy. The problem is that this could be connected to you. So you play a drama role and say, well, I was on vacation. I'm a victim. I don't know. Or you go into the persecutor role and say, well, yeah, obviously he's unhappy because the idiots in IT, they didn't help us, right? If I am conscious of that, I can switch and I can say, okay, look, let's not look at who's at fault or what happened. What's the outcome we're interested in? Are we interested in making that client happy? Are we interested in getting rid of that client because he's always complaining? What are we interested in? So that first question is, where's my focus? Am I looking at the problem or am I looking at the outcome? And what can I do to switch the focus to the outcome? Second question is, how am I relating to what's happening? And that is just a long-winded way of saying, which role am I playing? So you could get hung up on diagnosing the drama roles, but the problem with those roles is we switch them very, very quickly. So if I'm in this situation and I hear someone say, well, we all know that client is an idiot because he always complains like that. We can't help him because we're overworked. IT isn't helping us either because they have no budgets, but it's all right. I can stay longer tonight and I'll take care of it. That was 3 sentences and I switched, like I had all of the roles like 3 times or something. So don't get hung up on that. More importantly, ask yourself which of the antidote roles, which of the opposite roles would help the situation.
You were already about to mention them. Maybe it's a good time to go through it.
So the straight switch is the opposite role of victim is a creator role, right? In the victim role, I ensure survival by pointing out that I am powerless. As a creator, I look at the situation, I know what I want, and then I take the resources I have and I do something with it. The antidote role to the persecutor is the challenger role. Because the persecutor, in my example right now, persecutor was blame shifting to IT. IT are idiots, they're not helping us. That is a fact. IT is not helping us. Let's assume I didn't lie. So I still need a role that transports things that aren't going well, but with a different intention. The persecutor's intention is, I survive because I can point out it's someone else's fault who is not working for us. The challenger role's intention is, I know that IT is blocking us, so we got to do something about it. Either we need to find a way to solve the situation without that dependency, or we need to find out a way how to make them help us. And the third role is the coach role, probably the most complicated role in the whole thing, which is the antidote role to the rescuer. So, second question, how do I relate? I'm looking at the situation. I don't want to play drama anymore. I want to get unstuck. Which of those 3 roles needs the situation or would help me get a little closer to my desired outcome. Should I create? Should I challenge someone and go in there and say, well, you got to learn how to do that if you want to keep that job? Or am I going to coach someone? Third question then is, what action am I taking? And that sounds trivial, but the idea behind that is, if I am in drama, then I'm only reacting. Drama is like playing volleyball. You know, someone flings a fiery ball at you, and you just want to get rid of it as fast as you can. Whereas in the empowerment dynamic, in the alternative scenario, you're looking at the outcome you want, and then you're taking baby steps towards that, making decisions, finding things out, and just kind of, going step by step towards that. That's how you get out of drama.
So I was typing along what you said, and I realized that there are certain qualifications needed to really be in one of those three solving roles, like the creator or challenger, or go into that coaching role. Because I felt like if you're a creator, so at least the way you described it to me was that you would really need to know what you want in that specific situation. And that is a challenge on its own. I know this myself, like to really understand what I want in a situation or out of a certain situation is another situation in itself.
And that's in the book as well as in the training. A big part is the competency to understand and to be able to formulate what is the outcome that I want here.
Mhm.
And that I used to train this in like 1 or 2 day sessions. I stopped doing that. Now we train it in 6-month journeys, because you need to practice that. You need to practice that over weeks and weeks, because it is not easy. I am absolutely agreeing with you. It is not easy to go from, well, someone shit on my desk and I'm reacting, to, well, wait a minute, what do I want in this situation? I want the shit to go away. Yeah, but that is not how it works. That takes a while. Anyone can learn that. I've trained this stuff with teenagers and teachers and autistic physics professors and managers and people in kindergartens. Anyone can learn that, but it needs to be learned. Absolutely.
And the same goes with a challenger or the coaching role. Like I was assuming that as a challenger, you would need to really understand the issue in order to really address it, in order to like formulate, articulate that challenge that you're facing. Or in that coaching role, probably a high level of situational awareness to really express what is going on.
Exactly. And that is why we train the stuff, so that you can actually get to train the roles, and you can fill them. You can use them. It's not super hard, but it takes practice.
And it's probably not like, hey, so you just entered a victim role. I just wanted to make sure that you know that, and that is creating drama here. So we don't want that here, right?
We call that a meta prosecutor. I have a company, and my entire company is trained in this stuff, and most of them are trainers and coaches in this method. And even within my company, only, I would say, 50% of the cases, when you call someone openly, hey, you're being a victim, is the other person not pissed. No one likes to be called that.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's other stuff, but you gotta figure that out, right? And we have, like, for managers, we have modules where, like, how can you lure someone out of the victim role? It used to be called how to beat someone out of the victim role, just because it's so funny. Because you can't. If someone chooses to be a victim, they will be a victim. They will not be a victim, but they will be in the victim role.
Yeah, I once was in an organization where a part of their culture, or part of the cultural behavior, so to say, was to blame the hero. Mm-hmm. So calling someone a hero in that organization is an insult.
That is interesting, because that is also what happens in trainings, that you have the rescuer role, and that's like the most sympathetic role in the drama triangle. Once you understand that the rescuer is a bad role, is an evil, is a toxic role, because the rescuer prevents learning, people don't want to be a rescuer anymore. And then you talk a lot about how to get out of that role and how to do that. But if you're talking about organizations, that is interesting now because now we're talking about organizational culture. And you can have drama cultures. You can have drama routines that are rooted in the culture, where the culture makes it a necessity, or the structures make it a necessity to play drama. And we talked a little bit about, and that is the basic polarity. How do you change culture? How do you change organizations? By addressing people, changing people's mindset, or by changing, as the systemic people would say, structures and processes. And the answer is both. There you can look at, you can change structures, you can change. I have one example, a client, they call us, they're like, everyone is complaining and they're always playing the drama and they're always playing the victim card. And we looked at and we trained them and they got better. But they needed to play the victim card because the entire organization had a completely fucked up KPI system. And most of the teams had goals, had targets they could not meet. They couldn't. It was impossible. And they especially couldn't meet them if they helped other teams. So they had a structure that actually made silos. They had a structure that actually motivated the people to work against each other, not with each other. And then they brought in like mindset trainers and said, make sure they stop complaining. And what happens then, and I love this. I always take these gigs. But I will tell the person getting me, I will tell them, I'm not going to teach them to shut up. I'm going to teach them to speak up. And you will have some very necessary but very awkward conversations afterwards. And they don't believe me. And what happens then is, because, you talk about all the drama, and within the trainings, the people will work out, but these structures are forcing us into drama because the structures create threat, they create diffusion, they create disorientation, they create confusion, and all of that creates drama. And I'm like, yes. And now you know, and now you pick up every time the system triggers you into drama. Now go fight the system, and start changing structures. So in the end, you always work on both ends of the spectrum.
That is like really, really like that perspective. Because how do I put it into words? It's a different perspective to what I had before, especially regarding drama. And it's applicable to so many situations. But I think the key here is to, like, the first step would be to self-recognize. So to be aware of that concept and use it for yourself. Like putting on the seatbelt, like put it on to yourself first before you help others to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. We use that, put the mask on yourself before you help others in the plane. We use that in the training a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're running out of time a little bit, I have to be honest. But if people want to learn more about that concept, of course, there's your book. There's a link in the show notes below. But if people want to reach out, if people want to engage in the conversation, what would be a good channel to reach to you? Are you available
LinkedIn.
on email? LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
You're
Hit me up
still in
on-
the hellhole of LinkedIn.
Yes,
All right.
I am. And honestly, I mean, right now there's OMR and stuff. There's memes going through, but if you block the right people, and if you ignore the right content, there's still good stuff to be found there. So yeah, there's a German language. I mean, it's a German language book. There's a German language website, which is dramafreiearbeitswelt.de, which has everything about the book and my contact details. I'm very happy to just kind of have a digital coffee and talk about the method, how we train it, what it can do and what it cannot do, because it obviously can't fix broken systems. If people are in pain, I can't train them to stop complaining, but I can train them to be creators and to complain in a way that will bring change. If you're an English speaker, I mean, we can do the trainings in English and everything. We have all of that. However, there's also English language books about this that were written before mine, which are called Three Vital Questions and The Empowerment Dynamic. American books, so they're like business novel sort of things, easy reads. I love them. They are what inspired me to do this and to get into this line of work and do nothing else. So those books are out there. But yeah, in the end, LinkedIn, and look for my name and hit me up.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks everyone for listening. I will put all the links into the show notes below. So probably now is a good time to open up your Spotify app or whatever you're using and scroll a little to the bottom. And about there, you will find all the links necessary to reach out and find the book. Holger, thank you so much for doing this episode with me. It was really, really interesting, especially for me as I'm like trying to avoid drama or interacting with drama and just enjoy working somewhere else or on another occasions or on another project. We'll let you know if that worked out for me, and maybe do another episode where we discuss the case.
Maybe that's a flight reflex that you don't have to use anymore in the future. Who knows? Thank
We'll
you.
see.
Thanks for the invitation. Enjoyed the conversation. That was cool. And until next time.
Yeah. Bye. That's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. This podcast is part of my consultancy startup that runs by the same name. Whether it's applying AI, agile, adopting new technology, or exploring new markets, our analysis services help you to stay on track and deliver measurable results. Don't just trust your gut when it comes to organizing work. Trust your gut and the ones from your colleagues. And data, of course. Within just a week, we're able to give you a comprehensive insight into what drives your needle forward. Hit us up. That's it. See you next week. Bye-bye.